All right, it's the final here at the Golden One Center. 122-95. Pacers come in and lay the wood down over our Sacramento Kings. Kings drop to 13-17 on the season. You're watching Toyota Kings postgame live. Kyle Draper, Chelsea Gray, and about 17,000 disgruntled, disappointed, unhappy fans filing out of here, Chelsea. I'm at a loss for words. That's why you're the analyst. That's why you're the player, the WNBA player, Team USA. You can explain to me better what the heck happened here.
I don't know, man. Very disjointed squad, right? They were going on runs, and it was two guys that would do something bad, and then another guy. It's like a trickle-down effect, right? And all the mistakes offensively and defensively. But they got to go in that locker room and have a serious conversation and not get out of there for at least an hour. We've had those talks before.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't feel good. And they're not out there trying to lose or trying to be in this position,
right.
But they got to figure it out. This roster was not constructed to have this type of run, to me.
No, you're
or this
right.
record,
right?
Or to play this type of basketball. It wasn't constructed with this in mind. So I know they're disappointed in that locker room, and so they got to come together and to figure out what to do next.
At one point, this game was tied 52 apiece.
Yep.
Yeah, you can bring the box score in because I need to see the numbers tonight. Thank you so much. I need to see the numbers. It was 52-52 Chelsea. Second half, the Pacers outscored us 70, let me do the math, 26, 36, 46, 70-43 Chelsea. So what happened? Like, we're in the game, we're right there, we're fighting, we're there, and then bam.
You know when you're at home and you have a little bit of a leak.
Okay.
And you call somebody out. you pay your money and then they poke a hole and all of it comes out.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened tonight. Like they had a little bit of something that was like, all right, this first half, but it's okay. We recovered. It's good. It was in the writing a little bit. Some of those fast break opportunities, the wide open jumpers that they didn't really hit. Tyrese had a couple of threes that they didn't knock down.
Yeah.
Some of their shooters had some threes that they didn't knock down. In the second half, they knocked them down. They still didn't have the coverage for them. So once the water is on, it's hard to turn that faucet off. And so that's what happened in those runs. And those are the moments where I'm just like, you have to tighten up. What is your go-to on both ends of the floor? And I'm struggling to really see what that is.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we'll hear from Mike and the players coming up in a minute, but let's check out the River Rock Daily Jackpot. That's really where the game changed out there. The third quarter, where the Pacers outscored the Kings 35-26 in the third quarter. And we're going to see some plays here. Just little resistance, I felt like, defensively from this team. They let go of the rope in the third quarter, Chelsea.
Yeah, I just felt like the Indiana Pacers played harder. They played smarter. They attacked, and if it was working, they just kept going with it. And so that's really hard to come back from 35-26. 35 and a quarter is difficult in itself, right? That's on pace for, a high-scoring game. So, they got to figure out that third quarter. But see, those are the threes that, he missed in the first half, and he was able to knock it down and sometimes get into the paint. Some of their guards, some of their posts.
Yeah.
And so when you see that they're getting wide open tips, you're like, oh, well, we're playing good defense. I'm like, no, they just didn't knock it down.
Yeah, exactly. Second half, they did knock it down. And, a lot is going to be thrown at Mike Brown. How about playing for each other out there, Chelsea? Like, where do they get that from?
It's got to come from within the locker room. Like, I'm a huge proponent of getting the coaches out and maybe just having a raw conversation. That's the only way you get it. Honestly, I don't know if it can get worse right now. The feeling that they're kind of feeling, like I've been there.
Yeah.
Right, you're in the feeling like you feel like you're doing everything you can, but maybe there's some feelings and there's some words that just need to get out so you can play a little freer.
Right.
We're all human, so maybe that's the conversation that they need to have in that locker room.
Well, if it hasn't happened yet, it has to happen now. 13-17. 4 straight losses at home, Chelsea.
Yeah.
They're losing the home games.
It's going to be really hard to move up in the standings losing home games like that.
Yeah. Let's take a look at some numbers over this 4-game losing streak for the Sacramento Kings. Started at home against the Denver Nuggets. Then you lose 2 to LA, and then you lose to the Pacers. And look at this, points per game, 105.8. That's skewed, Chelsea. That's skewed from dropping, what was it, 127, I think it was, against Denver on Monday. This team has failed to score 100 points in 3 games in a row, supposed to be a juggernaut of an offense. The offense isn't getting it done right now. You see some of the numbers, shooting percentage, assists. The numbers are the numbers, but the biggest number at the top, this team 0-4 at home this week. That's unfathomable right now.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part. Like, if you go on the road and you have 4 hard road games, you get an opportunity to, like, all right, let me come home and kind of get it back on track.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna have another home game, and then they have to go on the road and go and see the Lakers again.
Yes.
So it's just like, these are the moments, like, at home where you try to get your rhythm. You're in your own bed, like, you have your own routine. So these are the moments where you think that you're going to go on a run a little bit with a nice home stand.
Right.
So it's kind of difficult and frustrating to not have those home wins.
You know, when the schedule came out and we saw the team struggling at some point, this is the stretch we looked at. It's like, all right, we could get the Lakers, we could get the Pacers, we got Detroit coming up on Thursday. We can make up some ground. Instead, it has gone the other way, and Pascal Siakam was a big reason why he had a big game. He's our Mercedes-Benz of Stockton star player of the game. Shout out to everybody down there, Jason, Dante, Jane, Ken, the whole crew down there. Go check them out. But Pascal Siakam, I'm looking at, you know, just his game tonight. It was light work out there, 19 points, 10 rebounds. And look at this. How many times did we see a mismatch for him, Chelsea, and he just took advantage?
Yeah, it's the same thing I said with the Lakers the other night when LeBron was down low. You got to be able to bring up a double team at some point and make somebody do something different. But he's filled up the stat sheet with 19 and 10 in 28 minutes.
28
like,
minutes.
They didn't need him out there on the floor. You weren't seeing 35 minutes, 40 minutes. You weren't seeing that from him. 28 minutes, 19 and 10. That's really, really hard to compete against.
Look at this balance from the Pacers, too. Do the math right here, ladies and gentlemen. That's 7 guys in double figures. The Kings only had 4. This was a balanced attack, and now this team has won 5 out of 6. Just tell me about what they did offensively that posed some challenges, or was it the lack of resistance defensively?
Well, they moved the ball well.
Yeah.
Everybody was cutting. Somebody was coming into a pick and roll, and somebody rising on the wing. If they didn't have the shot, they penetrated again. I mean, T.J. McConnell was able to come in and get into the paint, kick out for threes. He had some tough layups, but everybody was coming in and doing their job at the same time, and that's difficult to do. But when you have people coming off the bench knowing what they're going to do every single time, you know, that's tough.
Chelsea, T.J. Dan McConnell, 12 points, 10 assists. This guy is a thorn in our side. I mean, we talked about getting the coaches out the room. How about when you're out on the floor, somebody saying, I got him, or, you know, I didn't see any resistance at all. I saw effort, but not resistance. And it felt like, I don't know if we showed the tape or not, but the Pacers had about 30 free throw line jumpers. I felt like they get to the paint, get to their spot, turn around and shoot.
Yeah, I think that's partly the coverage. Maybe they need to switch that up. I think that is something that maybe coaches need to go back and look at and see how they can kind of disturb the rhythm a little bit. I think basketball is all rhythm, right? You do all of the reps and how you get in your rhythm, how you get into your spots. And so they have to disturb that. But I'm just looking down the line. I said this at halftime. Everybody has 5 points, 6 points, 7 points for the Pacers. And so it's no surprise that you go down the line and everybody contributed. When you have somebody like people like this, and listen, you have 4 points.
Matherin only had 4
points in the starting lineup. So when he wasn't making buckets, you know, people stepped up. But if you look at his, they needed him on the floor. Look at his plus and minus, 27.
Plus 27.
He's affecting winning, and that's what you want. You want good plays. You want solid people that make plays on both ends of the floor.
All right, so the Kings fall 122-95. Before the game, we talked about trying to get DeMar DeRozan going. What needs to happen? He's been struggling in terms of scoring the ball over his last 3. Now make it his last 4. You see the field goal percentage, not knock it down to 3, only 10.3 points per game. This was a guy, Chelsea, that was averaging better than 23 points a game before this stretch. Did you feel like they went to him enough? What about the shots he did take tonight? 1 of 7 from the field.
I mean, he only took 7 shots. It's not like he usually is a 15-plus shot taker. And so it's hard to really get in a rhythm when you're only shooting 7 times. I will give you that. And, I mean, he only played 28 minutes.
Yep.
You know, he's usually in the 30s with De'Aaron Fox and Domas and Malik Monk. And so his minutes went down because they needed to try to find something, right?
Yeah.
But offensively, he got to a couple of his spots right there by the free throw line that just didn't knock it down. And hey, listen, I'm a player. I understand. Like there's going to be games where you're not making the baskets like you normally would, right? But it's up to your teammates and the coaches to try to figure out a way to get you going. And I think his way could have been the free throw line. Let's get him into the low post where they don't have a chance to come and double him. Let's get him to the post where he has a cutter. So if they do come and double, you have somebody right there that go and dunk that thing. So they got to find a way to be able to play with each other. Like I said, I still think they're figuring out how to play with DeMar.
Yeah. You know, one thing we talked off air about is maybe changing the offense a little bit. You know, before the season, I had talked about having a DeMar DeRozan package, if you will. Like, you know, you have your base set, but then you have a set just for DeMar. Do you think that would help, like you're talking about?
For sure. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's all somebody else. There were moments where he got to his free throw line jumper, right? He got into his fade. He got into his package right there at the elbow. I just think that he has to create a lot of that off of like a weird type of like momentum, right? There's moments throughout a game where it's like the shots go down easier when you see the first one go through, maybe the second one go through. So I think maybe an adjustment they could make is maybe go to him a little bit earlier to try to get him going. But like I said, he got to his spots. He just got to knock him down, and hopefully the next game he will.
Yeah, you know, I know the coaching staff looked at tape from his time in Chicago, San Antonio. You know, they always do that. Where does DeMar like the ball? He does operate in the post sometimes, but we haven't seen it a whole lot out here. Let's see if they make that adjustment going forward. Tonight, however, they wind up falling 122-95 is your final score. As soon as the players and coaches talk, we'll bring it to you as well. Tough loss, 4 in a row for the Sacramento Kings. We'll bounce back here on Post Game Live coming up here after this timeout.